Good Sunday to everyone. My name is Kyle Corvus Crow, joined today by the one, only, and irreplaceable Joshua Fekez Quest. Happy to be here with him. For sports fans, we are mere hours away from Super Bowl Sunday kickoff, so we thought we would schedule a couple of appetizers to get your competitive juices flowing today. Starting off the day, we have the North region in action featuring Kansas State, saw them last weekend, running up now against newcomer to the stream, Michigan Tech. Both teams sitting at 2-0, looking to continue to make their undefeated run in College League of Legends. And if that's not good enough for you, then tonight we have a monster mashup coming around at 3 p.m. Pacific time. That's 6 p.m. Eastern time as the West shows off some of their best with British Columbia taking on UC Berkeley. Before we look further into our first matchup and hit the draft, if you didn't get a chance to watch New Hampshire versus Quinnipiac or Victoria versus Mount Royal yesterday, then you can head over to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/cstarleague. Catch all the action from yesterday and further back there. As always, we want to welcome any new viewers to the CSL today. Happy you're here with us and College League of Legends season by giving you a breakdown of how this year's competition will be run. So to talk to us about the Swiss format, Josh, why don't you take that away?
Oh my gosh, that's me. Hello. Swiss format. So there's going to be 4 regions, north, south, east, and west. Those are going to have their own competitions, and then they'll play in later on into the playoffs. But how to get there? It is a Swiss format, so that means that it kind of encourages competition. So the winners will take on the winners, the losers will take on the losers, and the middle ground will take on the middle ground. So that way you don't see someone like Maryville or Columbia College taking on anyone who's like 0-3 or 0 who hasn't had a win or anything like that. Doesn't show very much promise this year, and that way the top teams will only play against the top teams. Now, with that being said, the Swiss format being in play this year, that does mean that every game is super crucial, because if you lose 2, you're essentially going to be almost out of the tournament. I mean, there's an exception here and there, but for the most part, 2 losses will be very crucial. But I believe today the teams are undefeated, so we have 2-0 going against each other today, and gonna dish out the first loss. So first loss, that doesn't mean you're out of the tournament, but it does mean that you have to really buckle down and not lose anymore. But as I say that, we are actually getting into Champion Select, so we're going to take a look at the picks and bans.
Oh, absolutely. So coming out, we did see. I want to keep in mind. Last weekend, Kansas State did go up against DePaul University. Now, Kansas State actually fell pretty far behind in the early game of the last set they played against DePaul. The first game, they did thunder back with a late-game scaling composition. That is absolutely what they drafted, the plan that they made it through. Then in the second game, actually, DePaul suffered a disconnect, dropped out, did not actually play the second game, so they did move on, kind of de facto winning the series. From there, they were definitely up in the series. But the big storyline to keep our eyes on in the meantime is I would expect to see very much the same idea coming out of Kansas State. I think they're going to want to go for a scaling composition here. Judging by the bans, they're just taking out, what looks to be pretty targeted. Keeping the Nunu out on the blue side, though, that's a little interesting.
Well, I mean, yeah, Nunu in general, he has been a little bit of a contested pick because of his buff to Blood Boil. So, being the first pick, though, it is typical that somebody would take that, but there are plenty of top picks. Sejuani, not going to be one of them because that is going to be banned out. Sejuani, also a very contested jungler right now, but we're going to see what they pick. And it's actually the Jarvan. Jarvan, pretty big mainstay in the jungle right now. Easy to gank, a lot of aggression in the early game. Kind of does whatever you need to right now as far as the meta is concerned. Not to mention, I say this as if not everyone can use it, but does benefit from stopwatch as well. So going into Guardian Angels or Stoneblade if they wanted to go to tank Jarvan. But be it as it may, that is going to be the first pick for SKT Wolf. Yeah, I think that's supposed to be it's Wolf. I think they're kind of going with Wolf there, but
You
either
take
way,
what you can get at that point. I'm sure
yeah.
Everything within 2 standard deviations of those characters is, I'm sure, pretty taken at this point. Trying the 0s and the 1s and all of that. Ace to Wonderbow, though, taking away the Lulu first pick. Melting Cloth likely to grab up the remainder of that bot lane in the Kog'Maw composition. And so we are starting out a little bit of the signs of, hey, we're going to protect this Kog. So I like it. Ornn, the next takeaway. And then Algu with this Azir. Nothing strange there. We have seen him run that down. Very standard pick for this guy. Had an amazing game on it against DePaul last weekend. So interesting to see how the Ornn's going to play out. But so far, sticking to their school for Kansas State here.
Yeah, Ornn did get hit with a little bit of a nerf. Some people, especially, the solo queue, the Reddit mentality, saying, oh, he's completely useless now. It's either one or the other. You can't really have a middle ground with solo queue or Reddit. But Ornn is still a very powerful champion. He has the advantage of not having to back immediately like other champions do. Not to mention, he does have a very good initiation with his ultimate, charging up his, or sending the ram into whoever he needs to knock up, which having a Kog'Maw to knock up would be very helpful. But of course, Kog'Maw does have a lot to protect him, especially with that Shin being locked in by Nautilus bot. So that is going to be a lot of protection coming in. They already have the Lulu there as well. So if you do want to try to kill this Kog'Maw, assassinate him, it's going to be extremely hard. And that is something that Jarvan tries to do, not to mention Azir with the Shreema Shuffle, that they're going to now have trouble making their comp work, at least for the 3 members that they have picked out right now on the side of Kansas State.
A little surprising to see a Kale ban come out from the guys on Kansas State.
Yeah,
not surprising at all, however, to see the Caitlyn taken away. That's 2 ADs gone. They don't have Draven. They don't have Caitlyn. These are 2 that Kog'Maw does not want to see in lane. They can really just sit behind a large amount of minions and just punish. So I wouldn't be surprised to see another bot lane ban. Okay, it is the Braum taken out of that one. They just want to keep it all consistent, flowing, and good to go there. Don't want to face off of that as Kog'Maw or Lulu. I really like the Shen pickup here as well from the guys at Michigan Tech here, just to make sure that they can absolutely protect that Kog'Maw, as well as have an answer to the Ornn. I think it works well in both capacities. Shen's fallen off a little bit in terms of top lane priority, but he's certainly something that can still take it to that Ornn. So I think it's very heads-up drafting so far from the red side.
Yeah, Michigan Tech, they're going with the old school protect the ADC comp. Of course, the Kayn kind of would throw that out. You don't really protect anybody with Kayn. You just go in for the kill, and that's exactly what he's doing. But so far, look at the comp from Kansas State. There's not really that many targets you can go assassinate. He can be aggressive against Jarvan in the jungle early on, but and if Kayn does get rolling, he is a huge, powerful force, able to burst down quite a few champions, even Azir. But now with the Tahm Kench locked in, that's gonna pretty much negate a lot of Kayn's ability in the mid game to late game to be able to assassinate Tristana or Azir, whoever Tahm Kench decides, or Mask Link, I should say, decides to hover around. So that does take that one away. But with the Galio locked in, that would be more added protection. More protection. Yeah, you got it. More protection for the Kog'Maw, and I do like that a lot. That's actually a Galio mid, so we might be seeing a little bit of a more offensive Galio, but can still do a lot of damage, or provide a lot of protection with his ultimate.
I think so. I think it's very much dual threat composition coming out from Kansas State, and a little bit more funneled into a single threat composition coming out now for Michigan Tech. That said, you can never just expect to put all the pressure on one player. I don't doubt that Kunzi is quite the Kog'Maw player. I don't doubt that he'll be able to get this one rolling, but just in case, you have a couple tools at your disposal there, and it's not force supports. Galio can do a lot on his own. Kayn as well, you mentioned it very much. Hey, show me where they are, and I will try to kill them. I can carry this. So I like that they're not putting all their eggs in that basket, while at the same time, they're still getting a lot of support here for the remainder of Kunzi's, what he wants to do in that composition. Really adds a little bit of the dynamic to the bans too, coming out from Kansas State. Don't want to see that Orianna in the mid lane. I think that's pretty smart. Don't want to see that Kale to protect the Kog'Maw just that heavily. So they were definitely, I think, saying, look, we're going to take away the 2 biggest threats against ourselves when it comes to blowing up that Kog'Maw. So
yeah, I'm actually really excited they took away the Orianna, because Orianna synergizes so well with Shin and actually Kayn too, considering that Kayn can get in and out and actually flow through walls, so it's really hard to actually anticipate or target him whenever he's coming through. So the Orianna ban, I feel like, was very well played. And of course, Kale, that would actually add to the Kog'Maw, protect the Kog'Maw, not to mention they both scale off of AP and AD, kind of build a hybrid with the Guinsoo's Rage Blade. So, or not Rage Blade, I'm sorry. No, it is Guinsoo's. I'm getting that confused. Yuma's Ghost Blade, but it is Guinsoo's. Both of them build Guinsoo's Rage Blade, get the attack speed and just that kind of area of, well, Kog'Maw doesn't do area effect, but does do the mass amount of hybrid damage. So taking that one away, taking that combo away that Kog'Maw and Kale can dish out, I actually really do like that one. But yeah, I honestly, I do like the comp of Michigan Tech quite a bit. They have so much protection on Kog'Maw, and we've seen numerous times Kog'Maw can absolutely destroy a team if his positioning can be proper and if he can stay alive.
I think so, and I think it's a pretty good answer to the scaling composition of Kansas State here, because, hey, we've got a composition that just wants to wait. We're not too concerned with the early game. They can obviously do a lot in the early game, but these guys feel really just very good about themselves past 25 minutes. is when that composition really starts to kind of take off for scaling. Michigan Tech said, that's fine. Hey, look, scale all you want. We're going to put our eggs in the Kog'Maw basket. We're going to scale him, try to scale equally. So we don't care if you want to draft us out to late game. We'll play your own game, and we'll try to beat you at it, is what they're saying. It's an anything you can do, I can do better type deal. So it's all going to come down to the execution. And I think I'm going to place a lot of emphasis on both of these top laners. Specifically, I think SKT Wolf in the top lane for Kansas State, just because he's going to now have to pull out a lot of all the stops really to get this top lane moving into a way that you can't really let Ace to Wonderbow on that Shen take the time to stand united out to the Kog'Maw. You know, he'll have the shield no matter what, any set of circumstances, he can shield the Kog'Maw, but just keeping them away from that team fight and keeping up the split push pressure, that's where you really need to be. Now, we'll see how those execute, but before we do want to give a little bit of information to you guys. If you are just learning about the CSL, if you're checking us out for the first time, you want to get involved with us, find us on Discord, type Discord into Discord into the Twitch chat. We'll get you all the information you need there. If you want to follow us on our respective social medias, Twitter or Facebook, just twitter.com/CStarLeague, facebook.com/CStarLeague. Nice and easy. Want to give a huge shout out to Twitch. Love Twitch. Nothing but gratitude for the largest streaming platform in all of competitive gaming to support collegiate esports. From events like PAX East and West and many more, CSL wouldn't be what we are today without their continued help and support. Be on the lookout for cool opportunities to get involved with them. Facebook.com/Twitch, Twitter.com/Twitch. Keep that all rolling. And lastly, if you do want to find any previous VODs that you may have missed, not been able to watch over the weekend, you can find it at youtube.com/user/CStarLeague. So plenty of ways to keep up with all the action going on there. I'll be loading up the rest of the riff. Get ready to go.
Yeah, we're actually almost there, not too far out now. But as far as these comps go, I think the Tom Kinch, I think Masklink, he has a huge amount of pressure on him right now. He has to protect everybody from well, the thing is, there's not really that much dive. He has to protect mostly from Kayn. Everything else that's gonna be actually Kog'Maw, Kunsi just firing from the back line. So if you can shut down the Kayn, that'll at least be one damage source away from Michigan Tech University. But at the same time, like I said, you still have that Kog'Maw, but there is a lot of dive on the side of Kansas State. So this is going to be really interesting to see how both these team comps are played out once the mid game hits.
I think that's absolutely correct. I think it's not too surprising to see pretty standard starts here. Nobody really ever wants to find the aggressive first blood. Kansas State might be looking to group up for this, and Ace the Wonderbow could be in a bad position here, but I don't think he'll take more than just a couple slaps on the wrist. Not even going to really have to start that taunt just to get out, so he'll be okay.
Yeah, no summoners blown. Everything's fine. Easy peasy. False alarm, guys.
This is the standard collegiate minute and a half. This is what we see at the beginning. Not really too much. I think most of these players, because there's it's not a professional scene, right? It's not the kind of thing where you can have so much homework on your opponents that you can really create these nice meta level ones that unless a team is just that's in their DNA and it's something they really love to do, most of the time they're just going to wait to start feeling each other out in that laning phase. And that's where we really start to see these players get a little bit of info on each other and find out, okay, how is this person going to react to my play style? I think it adds a nice dynamic too, because, you know, in the solo queue, you think, okay, you know, it's just one game that I have to play against this guy. But in a series play like this, I feel like there really is a lot more attention to detail paid by these laners when they're trying to decide exactly who it is that they're running up against and crack that Da Vinci code of their play style.
Yeah, it's also a big psychological game too, because I mean, you depending on how the first game goes, it could drastically affect you in the second game, and that's both ways. Because sometimes you'll see champions, or see players, I should say, run on game number 2, run the champion that was played against them in game number 1, which is, I feel like, is a huge psychological, almost like a psych out that they're trying to pull. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but putting a team on tilt can really affect game number 2, and that is where a team can really shine and really show that they are like a cohesive unit, is when they don't get tilted going into the next game. They refresh, they refresh themselves, they reset their mind, and they figure out what they did wrong and apply that knowledge to game number 2. I actually really like the psychological game, but we have a gank in the top lane.
Yeah, Trevorius wants to get in, going to be taunted right out. Ace the Wonderbow. No time for that kind of gank, not going to be too worried. The action just really continues mostly in the mid lane on some aggressive trading, both near that half health mark. I think that was really good of Ace the Wonderbow to be able to get out of that with all summoners intact. It was a pretty far back gank, right? I mean, they were really pushing down right under his tower.
Yeah, he already had taunt, and he was really close to tower. So yeah, you're not really gonna get much out of a Shin whenever you're that close to tower with taunt.
Do what you can, and maybe, we were talking about psychological warfare. Keeping him on the back foot did force the ward out into that brush, and so we'll see if it's worth the advantage of Jarvan giving away his position, because there are the question mark things coming out into the jungle, as he does now need to go 10 to his bot side. Warfare a little bit earlier, Fekez, and really just the mental fortitude associated with, not falling into too big of a mental rut. I really want to say I'm on the lookout for Kansas State to be quite the contender in that regard, just from what we saw last week when they played up against DePaul University. They went down 0-6 in the beginning of the game. They got pretty bullied, and DePaul was absolutely running train on their bot lane, just plowing right through them. It was not what you wanted to see if you're a Kansas State fan. And they were able to hold it out, find the right amount of team fights, and really turn the game back on its head at several points when DePaul had the momentum. So they dug in pretty hard, and I think that adds a little bit of credit to what you were saying, and something to keep an eye out there for the Kansas State roster.
Yeah, very much so, and we're going to hope that Michigan Tech does not have a DC this game, because we could have a very competitive series on our hands if we can keep the connections proper. But we know how we know how college dorms can be sometimes. They're a little bit shady sometimes with the connections, but so far so good, as both teams are just kind of evening themselves out. Actually, in top lane, Ace Dewanda is kind of falling behind on the farm. Even as a Shin, it's relatively easy to farm underneath the tower as Shin, but having a little bit of trouble as he's getting pushed in. Not to mention the fire from Wolf here. But we might have a gank in the top lane. This Melting Cloth is there, but man, Ace Dewanda, he has no health to really follow up.
That minion damage is doing so much. You can't just try to trade when there are that many minions against you in that lane. And so I think SKT Wolf really hammering that in. And that's something, we touched on in Champions Select. I wanted to see him play this aggressively. If he gets this taunt under tower, that could be big. Blocking the auto attacks is huge. And Wolf going to die to the tower downtown. Insane gank coming out from Melting Cloth. I really like to see that. Ace the Wonderbow played with a lot of risks there, but it's not over yet as Treborius wants to find this gank in the bot lane. Going to go under the tower to do it, but going to have to run right back out in the mouth of the catfish. Forcing the summoners out of Kunzi, pretty big, as well as a flash from Demacia OP, but that will be an unsuccessful gank, and the first blood remains unanswered on the side of Michigan Tech.
Yeah, and that was on Kane too. Kane got that first blood, and I was talking about if you do get him going, he can be a huge force, and he can burst down quite a few champions, even if they're tanky. But you don't want any kills on him. But he got first blood. He is on his way to that snowball already. And yeah, what a nice gank in the top lane. And now, as you see, he is going to take advantage. Saw that Treborius was down in the bot side, and gonna go take his Gromp as well. So use that smite, gonna get in, get out, and leave Treborius just a little bit starved of XP in his own jungle.
Yeah, I think he just pinged that out too, realized it just a couple seconds too late. So the old bamboozle, and he did get away with it indeed. So what I'm really more focused on is what we're potentially about to see here in this river, as it does look like there's a bit of convergence, Treborius and Melting Cloth on one another, but the ultimate in from Nautilus bot means it's actually likely going to be the side of Kansas State on the run here. Algu doesn't want to get in too heavily yet. Nautilus bot, not too many tools at his disposal left with these cooldowns to do too much, so I don't think he wants back in. Maybe he's just baiting it out. Top laners have joined the fray, but I think everyone's just going to be content to reset here.
Might have some action on the bot side here. I'd like to talk about something, but I think they're going to just walk away. So I get to talk about something. That's always nice. Nautilus bot, yeah, he does have the tools to get in, but he also has the tools to get out, and that is very fortunate. Hero's entrance was used, so he wasn't. It's not going to be able to use that on the bot side or anywhere else on the map. Actually, just use it as a saving grace in the jungle. But be it as it may, letting his presence known, and he is up in farm right now. It's not going to be too much considering there is a wave for Algu right now. But he is doing well, just keeping the farm even in the mid lane, not feeding, and he's going to have to wait a few more seconds for that hero's entrance to be up. His teleport is also down, so he's going to be pretty stationary in that mid lane until his globals are up.
I think so. I think it's definitely good.
Yeah, I think hero's entrance actually is my bad.
No problem. None of these players really too intense on the solo play. Wolf trying to get the, nice actually block out of the taunt with that ultimate. That was very nicely played. So we'll see if Ace the Wonderbow is going to be able to get out of this one. Does still have his flash, but elects not to use it. And twice now with the low health bar, he has made a play in style to get out of that one. Wolf only burned the ultimate, but still, pretty good play from Ace the Wonderbow to turn that around and just get out. I think Wolf is still in really good position here because he can just keep shoving this wave out, not let Wonderbow try to keep things moving here. He does need the back, and that should mean the teleport advantage eventually in the just grander metagame for Wolf here.
Yeah, Bella's breath is going to be so harsh underneath this turret against Ace the Wanda, especially with that low health bar. He does have teleport, yes, Stand United, so he does have some options. He just wants to farm underneath the turret, which he can do successfully now. As you can see, he's not really losing out on the farm, at least widening that gap of farm loss, as he seemed like he was going to earlier. He's gotten to that point. He has his Bambi Cinder. He can farm underneath the turret just fine. But yeah, still, the same point, though, he still hasn't died, so still doing a good job in the top lane. That is, again, when you're a Shin, you're just a tank. You don't want to die. You don't have to get kills. It is nice having it. Honestly, it's really fun seeing a Shin who has a lot of kills and just can wipe somebody off the map, especially if you go Triforce. I doubt we're going to see that this time around, but whenever you're playing the role of the tank Shin in the top lane, you don't have to get kills. Just survive, just farm, and be there when you need to be there, and that's what Stand United in the teleport's for. Haven't had to use it quite yet, but I suspect should be seeing it pretty soon as we see Nautilus bot making his way to the bot side.
Yeah, this is going to be pretty big. The gank is coming out. Masklink trying to get his carry to safety, but the double taunt under tower will force a stopwatch out. We'll see what Masklink is going to be able to do to get out of this one. Actually, really good play to hold it all off in the end. It's a 4v2 bot lane, and that's usually the kind of play that you'd expect to turn around into something, but Michigan Tech going to walk away empty-handed on a four-man gank.
Yeah, that is actually really huge for Kansas State. They were able to withstand a 2v4 gank underneath the turret. And Ace the Wanda wasn't able to use his Stand United because Wolf was right in his face, could have displaced him and knocked his ultimate out of contention there. So very nicely played by Kansas State. And now they're just going to keep farming happily underneath the turret, which them boys is quite fine doing because he's actually winning the farming game here. Hold on, we might have gank in the top lane or Trevorius.
Yeah, Trevorius caught with his pants down. Not what he wanted. Ace the Wonderbow really just took that one out and away, and that was some disrespect by Trevorius just wandering there so callously. They had to know he was in the neighborhood. And not the best start for this Kansas State top side of the map. 0-1 for each member. Top and jungle there. And despite the fact that SKT Wolf has had a really successful lane against Ace the Wonderbow, he's been instrumental in both of these kills.
Yeah, it's kind of odd the only action's been on the top side right now, considering how much action has been on the bot side and a little bit around the middle, but Ace the Wanda has been the one profiting from this one. And yeah, I don't know what Trevorius was really going for there, because yeah, he knew exactly where Ace the Wanda was and had a low health bar. When you're going against a Shin, I'll talk about that later. There's a gank.
Yeah, they want Demacia OP there. Algu as well, going to settle for Kunzi. That's the bigger takeaway for sure, but Demacia is not going to be able to get out of this one without at least popping the ultimate under tower. We'll see how low it goes. Dem Boys actually in a lot of trouble here. Forces the heal out. The Shen as well. Stand United coming in means Demacia OP will be held off. Melting Cloth now trying to save time up there against Wolf. He knows that Ace the Wonderbow used a lot to use that Stand United, right? You can't just expect to not take all the damage, so having the jungler up there certainly helped for him. But all in all, it's 2 unanswered kills. Kansas State coming back in with a vengeance and keeping it dead on.
Yeah, they finally made a gank happen in the bot side. This time, actually going very aggressive with that Tom Kench ultimate, bringing in, I actually don't remember who he brought in. I don't know if it was Algu or Dim Boys, but he brought in somebody. And then Trevorius finishing up on the bot side. Also got the exhaust out of Demacia OP as well. So a lot of victory in the bot side in favor for Kansas State. But as I say that, knowing that Kansas State's on the bot side, Melting Cloth decides to try to pick up this Rift Herald because the turret, especially the first turret of the game, would be a huge benefit for their team.
Yeah, and I think he's got the right tools to do it, right? He got that first blood, actually. He's got the health crystal for the survivability, and so Kane, we do see him taking quite the bruising here, but it looks like he is going to be able to sneak that one out. And yeah, does take it with a little bit of health to boot thanks to that smite. And it's going to be a pretty big takeaway now because they have a lot of lanes that they need to reset and push in pretty well, but take a look at that mid lane tower. Shelly would knock that down in just one charge. Bot lane, still full health. Top lane, just a little bit of chip on it. So I think mid is going to be the direction that they try to push that in. But
yeah,
regardless, it's a great tool to have.
Yeah, no, mid would definitely be the obvious choice here because, again, just brute forcing a turret is exactly what you want. We see Trevorius going to the bot side. He has his Cataclysm, maybe looking for a gank. But Kunzi, he has Splash, he has Heal. He's going to be well protected. There's also Wild Growth. Here it is.
They're coming in. That's the rocket jump, the flag, and drag. They don't need the summoners out of Kunzi because they can just farm Demacia OP and get another kill over to them boys. That's 2 for the AD carry of Kansas State.
Yeah, Demacia OP had no summoners, in fact, and didn't even get the chance to use his Wild Growth, but we have some action for it here. They might wait to use... hold on, no, they're just going to go and use it right now, but it's interrupted. Oh
boy, they're going to come in, they're going to try to interrupt it. The knockback is there. That means it is not going to come out. Nice! Damage coming down, but Kane is there, and Kane is ferocious. The stopwatch will hold him off just at the end, but the taunt is there on Aldu, and that will mean both members dying to the hands of Melting Cloth as they pick up another one. It is bot lane turret going down in exchange. That will be first turret, but only barely. A second is immediately answered in the mid lane by the guys of Michigan State.
Yeah, victories and losses. Call of Forge got here.
Yeah, they want to find this one. Dem Boys is there. He is knocked up and taunted as well. Ace the Wonderbow, been a man of many escapes thus far. We'll see if he can get out of 3 because the Devour from Tom Kent should be right there. Chomps him right up, spits him right back out, and they got a longer way to go. But the Wild Growth from Lulu gonna be a potential saving grace here as he is only seconds away from this tower, and the taunt does close the rest of the gap. Teleport coming through. I imagine we'll see this one just taper off here.
Yeah, they're already disengaging on the side of Kansas State, so I'm going to say safe. But yeah, wins and losses all over there. Turrets are even, gold is almost even, so you could say the wins and losses pretty much evened out there in general, but that was a very unfortunate use of the Rift Herald for Melting Cloth. Just, yeah, not a very good place to use it. You don't ever want to use that in the open because of the chance of having an interruption. And there's so many hard CCs in the game these days that it's extremely easy to interrupt any sort of channel, especially one as long as a Rift Herald. It's probably one of the longest channels outside of Karthus's ult. But be it as it may, no Rift Herald for Melting Cloth, despite him picking that one up, but they still did get the the mid turret, I should say, but it was not first turret. Regardless, the game is still pretty much even. We see some rotation into the top lane. Dim Boys and Mask Link gonna try to push down the turret in the top side. Ace the Wanda, being a Shin, can't really defend against an auto attack, a range auto attacker like a Tristana.
I want to talk about that mid lane Rift Herald just a little bit more too, because I know we talked about it as kind of the place to pop that. Ocean Drake got a note that's going over. Melting Cloth did take that one away, so that will be Michigan Tech having that one. But anyway, back to, I guess, this top lane tower. We'll need to touch on that for just a second because they do want to get Ace the Wonderbow down here. Can't taunt out of this one. He is stuck, so he might be seeing his first death, or he might be trying to deal it right back to Trevorius. No Dem Boys there. Makes all the difference in the world. And now Nautilus spot, close to being stunned up, close to being chewed right up. The taunt is there, but it's only on the Mask Link, and that means Dem Boys comes out with a double kill for himself. 4-0-1 on this Tristana.
Yeah, if you want to compare late game hyper carries, I would always go with the Kog'Maw because of how much just power he can dish out to almost anybody. But when you're 401 on a Tristana, and not to mention Tristana can also shove turrets as well, a huge amount of power going onto the side of Dim Boys, and now you got to favor Tristana going into this mid game. Kunzi does not have an item completed yet besides the boots, or at least a full item, I should say, besides the boots. Meanwhile, Dim Boys with the Infinity Edge, Zeal, and boots already completed. So huge advantage over to Kansas State's bot side, and Mask Link doing a great job on the Tom Kench 004, saving people and making plays as well with his ultimate.
It's not just the 4 kills that Dem Boys is up either over Kunzi. It's an additional 30 CS, give or take, depending on how the wave's pushing at the time. And that's going to net actually to about 2,300 gold in total. That's the advantage he has, and that is absolutely insane. A little bit of action coming out now towards the river. We'll see how they turn it around. They do want to find Melting Cloth, but he's the hardest member to take down right now of Michigan Tech. We'll see what they can plan out, and I guess he gets out of that one in one piece. Not just yet. Tries to go back in to find the damage, and that will mean the shutdown coming out. Aldu getting himself a kill, but the fight's far from over yet. That's a shutdown coming out for Ace the Wonderbow. Takes down Dem Boys, and the fight is breaking out all over. Kunzi getting a critical kill onto Aldu, and a double to boot at that one as he does take down Trevorius as well. This is bad for Kansas State. They're running for their lives, but they're deep in enemy territory, and there's a blue-buffed Kog'Maw hot on the trail, so we'll see what they can pull out. Nautilus bot coming in for Mask Link, but the flash should get him out of there. And Can SKT Wolf back here? Is he actually going to make that happen? He got out.
I think he is, and he did. Yeah,
Wow.
mission impossible accomplished there. That was a huge taunt from Ace to Wanda. Want to give a shout out to Ace to Wanda. Without that fight, without that taunt, I think if he hit like a 4-man taunt, would not have been able to possibly would not have been able to win that fight. Got it onto Dim Boys. Dim Boys got deleted. That means there was a huge amount of damage lacking on the side of Kansas State, while Michigan Tech. I mean, yeah, Kog'Maw, I was talking about it. He doesn't have as many items during that team fight. Now he has a Gwensu's Rage Blade, but at that time, he didn't have many items, but he still has his activation for his percent health damage. His barrage can still do a ton of damage. So got into place where he needed to be and capitalized on that one. So Michigan Tech, they are bringing this one back as much as possible. Very nice taunt.
Yeah, they really did.
By Ace to Wanda.
They got just what the doctor ordered there. A double kill for Kunzi is exactly what he needed to really start feeling like a productive member of this team again. Algu himself got a kill as well. That's not to denote that it's not going to be huge for Nazir to have a kill, but look at that. Kunzi takes him down right under tower with the help of Melting Cloth. Shurima Shuffle not going to be enough to get him alive in that case. So tower goes, Champion goes down. Tower likely to follow here, depending on how well Trevorius can hold it together. And now things are starting to look a little bit more troublesome for the side of Kansas State. The battle is definitely uphill at this point.
Yeah, they're still ahead in gold, but it seems like the momentum has definitely swung in the favor of Michigan Tech University. With also having that first Drake, so they do have a little bit of insurance for the mid game once or I guess I want to say late game, once the Elder Drake comes up. If the game lasts that long, they do have a good start on that as well. But we have action possibly in the mid lane. I think it's actually going to be relatively safe as Ace to Wanda just stays safe farming minions. But main story here is that top lane. Michigan Tech have been pushing that top lane, and I think they're finally going to get it as the cannon minion is there. And yeah, Trevorius, he's not able to withstand any of the onslaught from Kunzi or Melting Cloth. And Melting Cloth's not doing too bad either. He's actually 3-1-2, has a Black Cleaver as well, so he can do quite a bit of damage himself right now. And he's getting to that point where he can be that Assassination Kane if that's the route he wants to go.
We talked about him as a potential carry, and he definitely filled that role out really well in the early game. Good news for him now is that a lot of that weight is being lifted off of his shoulders now that we have 3 kills onto Kunzi and a good bit more CS. Now, he is still falling behind in that CS game. He was about 30 down. Now he's closer to 50 or 60 down, depending on the situation of the wave. And that is certainly something he needs to make up, especially still being a kill down. The gold is very much going to be favored to Dem Boys, all things otherwise being pretty equal. But either way, that's going to mean that Melting Cloth can start to relax a little bit, get Kunzi 1 or 2 more kills, and you're going to start to feel really good if you're Michigan Tech.
Yeah, Kunzi's out of. I mean, I thought he was going to have a little bit of a rough start. Well, I guess it kind of did, but transitioning into the early part of the game, into the mid part of the game, he's doing very, very well for himself. The Gwensu's Rage Blade is really what you need to start getting any sort of damage down, and he's completed that. He's going to be dishing out. He's obviously been dishing out a lot of damage. He's 3-1-1 now when he was 0-1-0, I believe, earlier, but he's still not farming as well as he probably should be, and that is still creating a decent gold rift here. He's still down almost 2k, which is pretty significant. As you can see, there's still a big item advantage on Dim Boys, but it's up to him to capitalize on this one.
Defensive flash is being used for Michigan Tech. Dem Boys really just wants the tower, but Kunzi being at half health means they just might get it. The waves are gone, but the tower is just a stiff breeze away from being blown right over. So we'll see. I don't think without the flash of Nautilus bot, they're going to want to try to engage. It might depend on a good taunt from Ace the Wonderbow. We saw him find it once. We'll see if he can do it again. And it looks like actually Kansas State's putting a lot of respect on this one. They do just want to keep the minion waves dead, keep the tower pushing on their advantage, and then maybe find a neutral objective to fight around when it comes to this dragon after this.
Yeah, they're really scared of being taunted again. Not to mention Nautilus does have his hero's entrance up as well, so he's going to be able to they have an engage factor here, a engage trigger they can pull if they need to.
They found Kunzi on the back line. The growth is there, and Trevorius' health bar is not, so they were going to try to be keeping it down, but Nautilus bot left on the other side of this one's going to be an easy pickup. Dem Boys going to have to get out of that one, but Kane is all over him, and Melting Cloth is right there, does find it on the back line. This leaves Masklink deep in enemy territory, just trying to distract the remaining members of Michigan Tech, and so it's a 2-for-1. Going in favor of Michigan Tech as they find the bot lane of Kansas State and their second Ocean Drake, and that's a big takeaway.
That is a huge takeaway. That'll allow them to sustain any of these sieges if they'd like. You can just poke the turret, back up, wait for the minions to come along, and while those minions come along, they can regen themselves with 2 Ocean Drakes. That will be pretty huge. And shout out to Melting Cloth. He did not give up on Dim Boys trying to kill him and assassinate him. Mission accomplished by Melting Cloth. And Dim Boys used his heal, used his flash, and his rocket jump to get out of Melting Cloth's I guess, target, but sights, but was not able to do so. Melting Cloth able to take out Dim Boys, and that is one of the big factors right now in these team fights. Once Dim Boys falls, that means that Kansas State essentially falls in the team fights, and we've seen that twice in a row now. Successful team fights by Michigan State and Michigan Tech. I'm sorry, Michigan Tech, and they are capitalizing on that one, taking the dragon and possibly shoving a turret soon as well. Although the Baron is up, they may want to watch out for that.
So much pressure on the shoulder of Dem Boys at this point. They really need to start getting some kills over to Algu as well, or just, a little bit of a spike in farm, because he's down about 30 to his lane counterpart. But funneling a little bit more gold into Algu is going to alleviate some of this pressure for Dem Boys, and I think it's definitely showing in the fights, because Dem Boys was 100% of Kansas State's ability in that last fight, and excellent play by Melton Cloth just to get him down and out there at the very end. Meant that the fight pretty much went over. It was only a 2-for-1 trade, but it net the dragon and it net a lot of good map position and vision control. So all things considered, a pretty big takeaway for Michigan Tech, and really starting to make Dem Boys sweat a little bit, I bet.
Yeah, one of the best things about one of the best things you can teach a team is telling them that kills aren't the only thing that matters. They're not the only thing that you need to win a game. You need macro objectives. You need a map control. Map control being attained through these ward placements, through the ward clearings as well. So very nice advantage going over to Michigan Tech. But it looks like the Mass Link. Wait, why do you think you took the Clip Scuttler? I always thought that was BM whenever support does that. But either way, he needs gold too. He's actually doing very well in this game. But regardless, I'm gonna digress here because I kind of got off topic.
As a support main, I can verify both of your statements. He does need the gold, and it is BM. So very true.
Fair enough. But during team fights like that, kills aren't the only thing that matter. Yeah, you only get 2 of them, or 1 or 2 kills, but what you get afterward is what really matters. And Michigan Tech, they are trying to capitalize on that. Yeah, like you said, taking the dragon, also getting war control, vision control, map control, and essentially now looks like they're all trying to push a turret. As Kansas State, they have that turret in the mid lane so low, but there's so much wave clear with this Nautilus bot Galio.
Starting to see a split push Shen come online too. Ace to Wonderbow with all full global abilities on that Shen was able to just roam down bot lane and finish off the tower. Now as a fight starts to break out, possibly going to be entering this one, he's just actually going to be able to walk right in. Dem Boys took a lot of damage on the front end. We do have the Shen coming into flank on the back, so we'll see what all comes of it. Dem Boys going to try to find the tower, possibly going to get taunted up, swallowed whole before that could happen. So good play by Masklink to keep defensive. Now that's a taunt. Trevor, he's trying to come in, just gets the Cataclysm down for damage and some stopping power. SKT Wolf, though, going to be on the chopping block as well. It's another two-man takeaway, and they get the tower, but lose 2 people, their top half of the map, and that's going to give a lot of Baron priority now to this Michigan Tech roster.
Yeah, Trevorius died. Nobody was able to touch Kunzi. That's the problem. Whenever Trevorius goes in, no one else is really able to follow. Nautilus bot able to protect everybody in that front line. Very nicely played. Masklink, he's not going to be able to do too much here, I don't think.
Yeah, this is really risky. They're just going to turn right on, and Dem Boys and Masklink stood no chance. Algu, the only survivor, and that's because he didn't overcommit with the rest of his team, and I cannot blame him. Should have just let this Baron go up for free, because that would be a really rough one to try to take away given the circumstances. Kunzi full health, Demacia OP in a really good position with both summoners as well, and then the remainder of the team for damage and peel, so is going to be a very, very strong turning point in the game for Michigan Tech. They had an advantage, now they have the advantage. They were up in towers, got evened out, but now double the kills, about 4K in gold, but the Baron buff should mean so much pushing potential, especially with a split push Shen.
Yeah, very much so. They took full advantage of the gold swing in this, and both team fights are almost solely dependent on the positioning of the ADCs. Kunzi doing so much damage for his team. Dim Boys, as I mentioned earlier, once he gets down, once he gets taken off the map, that means that Michigan Tech can go full onslaught onto them. And once because Algu's actually doing damage, but it's just not enough consistent damage, and it's not enough damage to the backlines. Melting Cloth is zoning them out so well and allowing Nautilus bot. That is one of the biggest factors in this team fight. You have Demacia OP, you have Ace to Wanda, able to protect Kunzi, while Melting Cloth and Nautilus bot able to dive with their respective ultimates. It's a very nice combination, nice team comp that Michigan Tech have formulated here that they are playing to the full advantage of, as we see a nice knock-up onto Trevorius.
Drag, but no drag. Sorry, Trevorius has to flash out of that one. Not going to be what he wanted. You and I, Fekes, levied a little bit of, maybe not criticism, but scratched our heads a bit at the Kane pick coming up early on into the draft. Said maybe this doesn't make the most sense in the world, and I feel like Melting Cloth has just been proving us wrong for the last 28 minutes and 5 seconds of this game, because he has been absolutely the oil that's been lubricating this well-oiled machine that has been Michigan Tech here, and that's another tower they take away with the Baron lead, and they're up 5k gold now.
Yeah, I'm not always right. I was scratching my head on the Kane pick.
I was in the same boat. I was there with you.
Yeah, hold on.
Ooh, yeah, no, that's going to be bad. Trevorius going in alone yet again, to your point from earlier, and that's going to be an easy kill takeaway. Ornn with the knockup, really good damage, but Melting Cloth, a little bit too tanky, and with his Kane abilities, is just going to be sticking right to the head of Dem Boys. He does get back a little bit, but under his tower has to flash away, and Masculine could be the next one to go down. Kunzi being legendary this time, 8-1-3. He is now showing signs of stopping anytime soon. So they're going to take yet another tower, and without Trevorius and Masculine there to defend, they could just keep pushing this one out.
That was such a sloppy team fight, but it turned out so well for Michigan Tech. It was great synergy from Melting Cloth's Kane with Shin. He actually got Stand United while he was inside. Whoever he ulted, I actually don't remember who he ulted him. But then Nautilus bot able to protect on the backlines as well. And yeah, Trevorius needs to stop diving by himself. He's the only one that can do that, and it is costing him his life every time.
Here he goes again. He's coming in for it. We might just see it happen again, but there is a little bit of backup this time from SKT Wolf. Right back out as well. Doesn't want to deal with that. Kunzi, though, quite low. Almost got him this time around, but Nautilus bot finds Dem Boys, and the damage of Kansas State is now shattered. We're going to see what they can do, but it is going to be freezing up. Algu does find Melting Cloth there, so it is just actually the 1-for-1 in this isolated trade. Double down now. Algu finds 2 much-needed kills. So that's going to be helpful, but at what cost? Because it's cost them their mid lane inhibitor, it's cost their bot lane inhibitor turret, and you have to wonder if that's not just a little bit of a cocky overstay from Michigan Tech.
Yeah, that one was a little overstaying. They had just fought a mid lane battle, got the mid lane inhibitor, decided to rotate to the bot side, figured they still had the advantage, but a little bit too exhausted from the last fight, so just going to keep back, or just going to draw back after losing Melting Cloth and Nautilus bot, take up the 3rd dragon. That'll set them up for a very nice Elder Drake if it comes to that in about 5 minutes or so, 6 minutes. And they have set themselves up very nicely. And now it looks like Kansas State, they have to play on the back foot with this mid inhibitor down.
I think so, and especially with the bot lane inhibitor exposed. You know, we've been talking about the split push Shen. Stand United will be on cooldown, or off cooldown, I should say, right about now. So he'll be able to just return to his old bot lane antics. And I don't think at 2-1-10 there's anything that any single member of the side of Kansas State is really going to be able to do to stop him. I mean, maybe Algu, maybe Dem Boys, but that's a really precarious situation. And certainly you can't just expend one of those valuable resources down there just to deal with Shen. It's got to be someone the likes of SKT Wolf with that teleporter, possibly Trevorius, but I don't think he's got it in him either. So this is going to be a really big thorn in the side of Kansas State as the remaining members of Michigan Tech flock towards this top side of the map. They got good vision control. They have a wave, and they're going to try to hammer down these last outer turrets.
Yeah, Baron should be up in about 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. So establishing pressure up here while also pushing the turret could be very beneficial to them. And it looks like SKT Wolf.
Ooh, they find the knockup on Kunzi. They have the back line there. This is Kansas State trying to find it. He is shut down.
Oh, they got it.
Right foot, Nautilus bot trying to get out of there. The health bars of Kansas State is still in pretty good shape. Dem Boys with a double. Shen nowhere to be found that fight. Used to Stand United, did not get in for the rest of it. So now it's only the matter of Melting Cloth on the back line. We're going to see if he's going to try to assassinate anybody here or just get out, because they have to be so careful now. The wave is in the hands of Kansas State.
Yeah, Ace Wanda saw that his team was getting annihilated, decided to go bot lane, or decided to stay bot lane, cancel his Stand United, and he's going to try to shove into that bot lane inhibitor, but Algu decided to back, and so there's really no way he can go to that inhibitor now that Algu's there, so he's going to back and try to defend whatever is going to be thrown at them, as yeah, Kansas State, very nice team fight. They got the surprise, they got the engage. They not only Trevorius was able to dive on that one, but Masklink was able to follow him up as well, which is what they've been needing this entire time. And now looks like Masklink may be getting caught out here.
Yeah, they have to be careful. Masklink probably just needing to be the sacrificial lamb for the rest of his team. I don't think anybody else should be getting involved with this one. They do just need to stay on the run because too many members down here could be absolutely crucial as the side of Michigan Tech is getting ready to pump the momentum back in. They still do have that bot lane pushing. They still do have that mid inhibitor down, and it's only top lane that's been reset. That said, I have to praise high and low the fighting spirit of Kansas State here to not be down and out this late into the game, to not feel like it's hopeless, and to still go for a fight like that and to pull it off and really turn some objectives out of it is exactly the hallmark of a League of Legends team with some lasting power. So all in all, I think we have a much more exciting game on our hands now than we did 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, and that's the kind of team fight they need. They need to go in with Trevorius. Masklink needs to. Masklink, Wolf, and I don't know if Wolf was back there with them, but I know for a fact Tom Kinch and the Jarvan were there. That creates so much chaos in the back lines. Them boys was able just to pop off in the front side and attack anybody needs to. Essentially what Kunzi has been doing this entire time. But now this time, them boys got that freedom, and it paid off so well for them. Got the double dive, and Trevorius, maybe he learns from that. Maybe he won't dive by himself now.
That was actually Wolf on the front end of that fight back by, he was peeling for Dem Boys, and he actually found an ultimate.
Okay, yeah.
To get a really good knock-up, call the Forge God to blast Kunzi up in the air, and that really started just the snowball that effectively trounced the rest of that fight in favor of Kansas State and to the chagrin of Michigan Tech. Now, Melting Cloth wanting to turn this into some aggression before it even gets to a Baron point. I think they're just looking for the fight here because the side of Michigan Tech knows that they can still bring a lot of damage, but with the inhibitor respawning, their timing for these fights is getting a little bit lower. They may have caught Melting Cloth out under his own tower. The Stand United is actually going to be used on Melting Cloth, and that's a big spell for him should Kunzi get into any trouble, but he's not just yet as he finds Trevorius. Masklink shielding up to try to stay as healthy as possible. Wolf on the back line of this one, and the health bars are not in good shape for Kansas State. Kunzi still in really good position with all the shielding and did get away with one there, certainly taking away Trevorius for the next 35 seconds and crippling Wolf and Masklink. So only Dem Boys and Algu left to defend this. They have to get back stat, and it's only Algu that's really being able to do it on his own terms with the Shen push.
Yeah, that was actually a really nice team fight by Michigan Tech. They were able to take out Trevorius, who dove underneath the turret, had a little bit of health, but it was still not enough to take out Kunzi. Kunzi stayed full health that entire time. And when you have a Cogma this late in the game, whenever he's full health, he's going to absolutely destroy whatever his target is. And we saw that whenever he took out Trevorius there. But now, there's the inhibitor. Dem Boys.
Quickly trouble for Dem Boys as Cogma with the slow going to be coming in there as well. Glitter Lance going to do a lot of damage, but Melting Cloth tightening the final screws. It is a trade. They do take away Nautilus Bot as Algu has been slowly but surely coming online for the remainder of this late game. We're going to see if they can now turn this into a turret, or if Algu, the remaining damage threat from the side of Kansas State, can do too much to hold it off. They're going to try to get onto the back of Kunzi. Not going to find it. Call of the Forge God does come in, and it is only going to come right back out. They do have to be so careful. It's only the inhibitor, but it's so important at this point too. They have to just let it go.
And finally, the persistence finally paid off on that bot side. Kunzi still staying alive. The Forge God not being able to be hit onto any of the members of Michigan Tech. Very nice knockup. I think it was a knockup from Kane, Melting Cloth, or a taunt. There's something immobilized them. They couldn't do that. And very nice played by Michigan Tech. So that is another inhibitor down. More pressure on the map going in favor of Michigan Tech, and just a little bit more advantage in their favor as well. As the Baron is up, the Elder Drake is going to be up in 4 seconds as well. So this is the big point. Like, do you take the Elder Drake or do you take the Baron at this right now? Because the Baron would help with pushing, but honestly, Michigan Tech, they don't need to push. They need to win these team fights, and I think an Elder Drake would be just a tool they need.
Several delayed sieges coming out from them, so doubling down on the rotational power and the healing factor would be huge. The problem is they can't give the Baron away, and it looks like Kansas State's just going to try to sneak a good Azir wall to keep them out of the pit, and Trevorius as well getting in onto that one, but Algu trying to get what he can. Trevorius does go down. Dace the Wonder Boy does take that away. Baron still up. Maskley gone down. Now over the wall. It is Dem Boy's going down. Algu's rampaging, but he's not going to be able to do enough. Nautilus Bot so low, but doesn't matter. Algu trying to fight it. He does find Kunzi, but Nautilus Bot is there. Dem Boys by the skin of his teeth just out. Ace the Wonder Boy should get this on him, though. There is the rocket jump to potential safety. Call will be up soon. But look at this. The teleport's coming down into the bottom lane. It is Nautilus Bot possibly going to be able to try to push out for the remainder, as they only have to keep Dem Boys from basing, and the game is in the favor of Tech. Oh my goodness. This is not good.
Yeah, what a chaotic fight. Trevorius left the Baron pit, and Ace DeWanda is not letting them boys back. He is going to go down. Ace going over to Michigan Tech. I believe, Corvus, that may be a game, though. Trevorius, he is up in 5 seconds. I don't
Not
think
going to
it's
matter.
enough.
No, this is absolutely over for the side of Kansas State. Game number 1 is going to be going very, very strong at the end over towards the side of Michigan Tech. They do take that one out and away. 37 minutes, 24-14, and about a 9K gold lead to boot. It took them a little while to get there, but by the end of the game, their fighting power was just too much for Kansas State to overcome.
Yeah, the team fight presence on both those teams were very, very high level. Toward the end, Kansas State did struggle quite a bit during the mid game with Trevorius going in by himself, but finally, they were able to coordinate things and get a little bit more offense in the back lines, able to take out Kunze here and there, but it wasn't enough. It was a little too late, and Michigan Tech, they were able to take advantage and pick up the win. First game number 1, so it's the best of 3, so Kansas State, they still have another chance.
Right, yeah, and I think just based off of what we saw this game, Kansas State adapted really well in-game. So if they can bring that same ability to adapt in-game to their out-of-game, their draft preparation, we might see a very different game too. That said, the momentum has to be just so strong with the side of Michigan Tech right now because they played a hell of a League of Legends game and they got the advantage and they really held on to it. There were glimpses of hope for Kansas State, but there was nothing like, oh man, we've got the game back in our control now. We are back in the driver's seat. And so just the ability to hold on despite all the, positive notes coming out from Kansas State and to be able to maintain that lead is really just displays a very fundamentally good grasp of how to close out a game and how to, keep your pacing and your good things going for you from the side of Michigan Tech. So interested to see how these guys are going to adapt and what changes they might want to make coming for game 2.
Yeah, Michigan Tech, they need to obviously protect the Kog'Maw. I honestly don't think Kunze will get Kog'Maw again, but that sort of team comp can work with other ADCs, not as efficiently, but it is still a very nice team comp that they ran, and they played very well throughout the entirety of that game. But as we say that, there is a game number 2. I think we're going to get set up for that one shortly here. My name is Joshua Fekes Quest. I'm here with Kyle Corvus Crow. We'll be back in just a moment. Stick around.